All right, let's focus, please, guys. Okay, this was the last activity that we did, or that I asked you guys to do for this section. It is important that you are able to do questions like this in your test, and of course, like the previous ones as well. But especially these ones where they don't give you the flat rate, you must calculate it. Okay, they are a bit more difficult. So they're saying here your monthly water bill includes a flat rental rate which stays constant from month to month, and the amount you pay for the total amount of water you use, which depends on how many units you use. What is this? The amounts in the table represent the combined cost of the flat rental and the amount you pay for the water you use. Okay, so they've told us here, I almost want to say that the first two values are the most important to look at, because after that it all follows that same pattern. You guys see that when you are using 50 units, you are paying 122 rand, right? Then when you are using 50 units more, 100, you are paying 42 rand 50 more. So what conclusion can we make based on that? 50 units cost 42 rand 50. Okay, that's the most important thing here, guys. So 50 units cost 42 rand 50, because that is the amount that you pay more when you've used 50 units more. Okay, so that's the first thing that you need to recognize. The first question here, what is the flat rental rate per month? So guys, that is the amount that you pay even if you're using 0 units. So how am I going to calculate what that is? What do you guys think? Yes.
Would you go 122,50 minus 52?
Yes, so it's almost like we're working backwards, right? Guys, how much does 50 units cost? 42 rand 50. So we need to figure out how much I would have to pay for 0 units. That's the flat rate. So I need to say this amount, 122.50 minus 42 rand 50. Sorry about that. I'm going to write it here underneath because I don't have a lot of space. So for number 1, and I actually want you guys, if you struggled with this, to write it. Actually, it's number 2. Hey. Yeah, I'm going to get to that now. They said complete the table below. Sorry, I haven't done that yet. We'll do that just now. Let's write a formula for this that you can always use. So the flat rate or the flat rental rate, if you want to write that, that's what they called it in this case, is the cost including 50 units minus cost of 50 units. I hope you guys understand the difference between those two. So the total cost, right, including the 50 units. To figure out what you would pay for 0 units, you minus the cost of 50 units. So that was 122.50 minus, how much do we pay for 50 units again? 42 rand 50. Okay, what's that? 80 rand. Okay, so that was the flat rate in this case. All right, 80 rand. You're always going to pay 80 rand, regardless of how many units you've used. I quickly want to go back up to just filling in this table because that was actually the first question. Sorry, they said complete the table below, question 1. Okay, so guys, if we want to know how much we would have to pay if we're using 200 units, do we agree that that's 50 more? So we need to add 42 rand 50 again. Right, is that going to get you to 250? Okay, is that the amount? 207.50 plus 42 rand 50. That's 250 rand, right? Do we agree? Thank you. 250. What's the next amount? Is that also 50 units more? Yes, so we must again add 42 rand 50. So that's going to get us to 292.50. The next one, is that also 50 units more? It's now 100 units more, hey? So I need to add 42 rand 50 twice, which is the same as 85 rand. Okay, so what is this plus 85 going to be? 377.50, is that right? 377.50. If you want, just add there on your page. Now we are adding 85 rand for that one, because it's 100 units more. Okay, so basically we have to add 42 rand 50 twice. Right, are we okay so far, guys, with these two questions? Okay, the next one, they're asking what is the cost per unit of water? Guys, we know what 50 units cost. So if to take that cost and divide it by 50, okay, that's what you're always going to do to get the unit cost. So again, I'm going to write a formula here, which you are more than welcome to write down. So unit cost is going to be the cost of 50 units divided by how many units that would get us? 50. So it was 42 Rand 50. That was what we had to pay for 50 units. And then we divide that by 50. Let me see what this is. Okay, it looks like 85 cents. Okay, you can write it like that. Or you can write 85, but then you have to put cents next to it. You can't just say 85. Okay, because it's going to look like it's 85 Rand. Okay, for number 4, they're now asking us to work out or to determine, a rule to work out how much you would pay. And they're saying that that is C, right? The total cost is C. So remember, guys, we need to use what they're asking us to use. So capital C for that. If you use a certain amount of units of water, and they're saying the units is W. So guys, what is the flat rate that we always have to pay? The flat rate here is 80. So we're going to say 80 plus, what do we pay for 1 unit? 0.85. And what is the letter that we're using to represent the units? They asked us to use a capital W. Okay, so 0.85 times W. Now, guys, this question is different from the rules that we found previously, right? If we're looking at the table that they gave us, it looks like the constant difference is 42 Rand 50. Right? Do you agree with that? That's what it is in the table. But guys, you can't say 42 Rand 50 times the number of units, right? Then you're going to pay 42 Rand 50 for 1 unit, which is not what we're doing. Okay. So unfortunately, with these types of questions where they've given you the cost of 50 units each time, not the cost of 1 unit, you can't take this constant difference here and put it in your rule. Okay, you have to take the cost per unit. So I'm just going to add here how we get this. This is the flat rate. And this 0.85 was the cost of 1 unit. Very important, guys. You have to use the cost of 1 unit in your rule. You can't use the 42 Rand 50. Any questions on that? All right, next one, number 5. What would it cost you to use 745 units of water in 1 month? So now, guys, this is our W value, hey? They're telling us how many units we use. That is W. So now we're just going to use our rule and replace W with 745. Okay, so now we're going to say, for number 5, the cost is 80 plus, because remember, that's the flat rate. We're going to have to pay 80 Rand. Flat rate. Okay. Plus now the cost for all those units. So it's 85 cents for 1 unit. But now because we used 745, we have to times it by that. Okay, I'm just going to type this into the calculator quickly. Guys, for a question like this, you will be allowed to use your calculator. All right, because we're working with big numbers here. So I am getting an amount of 713 Rand and 25 cents. You find it out. I mean, you find it. Right, now number 6 is the one where we're going to have to work backwards. Okay, let's see what they're saying in number 6. How many units of water? So how many units they now want us to calculate what W is. In the previous one, they gave us W. Okay, now they're asking how many units. What is W? did you use in a single month if the month's bill came up to this amount, 651.20? So they've given us the cost. The bill is 651 Rand and 20 cents. All right. So now, guys, I'm just going to write my formula again. This was the formula that we got, right? C is 80 plus 0.85 W. Now they're telling us that the cost, let me just check, what was that again? Is 651.20. Right? They gave us that amount. The cost is 651.20. But what is the formula for the cost? 80 plus 0.85 times W. Okay, so you're making the cost that they gave you equal to the formula for the cost. Right? Does that make sense? We've done it a few times now. Okay. And now what we're going to have to do, guys, this is an equation. We must solve for W. What is the opposite of adding 80? Subtracting 80, right? Is it okay with you guys if I just swap these two sides around? Do you know that we can do that? You are allowed to swap the two sides of an equation around if you want. Like that. You just do that. Okay, you just swap them around. I think we actually usually write this as our first line, in which case, yeah. Okay, so you just said that the opposite of adding 80 is subtracting 80. So we're going to say 0.85 W is equal to 651.20 minus 80. Right? Opposite of adding 80 is subtracting 80. So then you have that 0.85 W is equal to, what's that? 58579. 578.8. Okay, is that it? Why can't I think now? Let me just check. No one's saying anything. 571. Oh dear. Sorry, it's Monday. Yeah, what's the opposite of multiplying by 0.85? Dividing. Okay, good. So now we're going to have W equals. Now I must take this amount and divide by 0.85. Again, guys, you will be allowed to use a calculator for a question like this. Okay, so don't stress about that. We actually are worried about whether you can do the method as opposed to whether you can divide by decimals here. Okay, so W is then, let's see, divided by 0.85. That's a nice round number, 672 units. Okay. A question like this, guys, can count quite a lot of marks. You will get a mark for knowing that you must make the formula equal to the amount that they gave you. All right, so either that line or that line there, that will be 1 mark at least. So even if you don't know how to solve the equation, at least take the formula and make it equal to the amount that they gave you. All right, then for minusing the 80, you will get a 2nd mark. And then for dividing, you will get that 3rd mark. Okay, so it's 3 marks, 6% of a test. Remember, all your maths is out of 50. So guys, these are the types of questions that you need to be able to answer. You need to be able to find the flat rate, right? You need to be able to find the cost per unit. Write a rule. Find the bill amount if they give you the number of units and calculate the number of units if they've given you the bill amount. Okay, so if you can answer these and then of course fill in the table, but we've done that so many times already. If you can answer these types of questions, right? And the method will always be the same, guys. If you follow the method that we use now for all of these questions, you will be fine. Okay, in a question like this. These are the questions that they always ask. Are there any questions on this one before we move on? Fine. There was just one last one that I wanted us to look at. Activity 17, which is pebbles. It looks like this. So they've given you the shape number and you have to fill in the number of pebbles in the shape. They've also given you the pictures of the different shapes, but then they've written the values in. Okay, so you don't actually have to count pebbles in this one. But the important part here, guys, and what I want you to practice is actually graphing the values, right? Making a graph of your findings. So we have, wonder how many blocks we have here now, because the shape number goes up to 60. Really not. Let me take that to 4. So when you are graphing, guys, what I want us to do is, if you're going on your bottom axis here, right, this bottom line, you see they didn't fill in numbers for you, right? That's a bit mean. So let's quickly fill in some numbers all together so that we're using the same scale. For this, where the two lines meet, let's just make that a 0. And then we're going to use each block as 1. Okay, so we're not going to be able to fill in all the values because the blocks don't go up to 60. All right, but that's fine. I'll show you now. So you can, if you want to, you can label each one 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, 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 but that's going to take quite long. So I'm just going to do every second one. So like that, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and then so on. All right, and then I think we're going to end at 25. Yeah, the last one will be 25, but you don't have to write that in there. Yeah.
Regarding to the test on
Mhm.
Thursday, what do you know what like the weighting is in terms of like
Each section.
well, yeah.
Okay, are we fine with that for being the shape number? Yeah.
Can I just double check the test on pretty much,
Yeah. Okay, shape number, we fine with that? Now, guys, in the table, if we look at the values that they've given us in the table, I want us just to fill in some in-between values here because for some reason they have some empty blocks. Okay, so let's make this one 8. So there's an empty block between 7 and 10, make that an 8, please. And then here, let's put this one in as 20. Guys, does our line go up to 30 on the shape number? No, hey, it ends on 25. So you are only going to be able to draw or plot your values up until the 20th value. Okay, that's the last one that you're going to put on your graph. Okay, we're not going to go to 30 and then 60. I'm also not going to fill in more in between values. Okay, I just filled in that 8 and 20 so that we have more things to plot. What are you going to put underneath n? Equal? Well, don't give the answer. The rule, hey? You're going to put the rule under n. Okay. It might be 2n plus 1. It might be something different. You'll see when you do it. Okay, so it's fine. You're going to work all of this out, pull in 8 and 20 and 30 and 60 as well, guys. Then once you have all of it, you're going to put it on the graph. Now, let's just quickly figure out. I think we're going to have to use 1 on our number of pebbles as well. Let me just check it quickly. That just goes to 20. We're actually not even going to be able to plot this last one if I'm looking at this one. Maybe we should make it. Yeah. Okay, sorry guys. I don't know why they made this so small. Let's use the same scale on the other one as well. And in a test or exam, we'll give you axes with the values already filled in. Okay, we're not going to expect you to fill in values there. If you get a graph like this, then the values will be given. Now, guys, if you get a value with a number of pebbles in shape that is more than 21, obviously you can't put that on a graph as well. Okay. So I think that might exclude this last one that I just said. Now you will be able to plot. You might not be able to plot that one. Okay, it depends on what the rule is. I don't want to give too much away now. But if you are, say you get a number of pebbles in shape that's 35, obviously you can't put that on your graph. Okay, because it goes to 21. All right, so just see which ones you can plot. I'm going to help you with the first one quickly, guys. When your shape number is 1, the number of pebbles is 3. So we're gonna go on the graph to a shape number of 1. Do we agree that it's there at the end of that first block? And now number of pebbles was 3. So you go 1, 2, 3, and that is where you're going to plot your first point. Yes. I'm going to talk about that now. All right, so you're going to do that with all of your values, guys. You have to calculate some of them first before you can. Now, do we think that you're going to be able to have half or quarters or 1/10 of a pebble in these shapes? No, right? So are we going to be able to connect these lines or these points rather with a line? No, because there are no in-between values. Okay, you can't have like 1/10 of a pebble in your shape. Okay, it's all whole numbers of pebbles. So guys, you're just going to do the points and then that's it. Okay, don't worry about connecting them, just the points. Okay, do that now quickly. I'm going to give you a few minutes and then we're going to mark it together and then we're going back to surface area and volume. Yes. Just hang on, let me just pause here. All right, there are the values in the table. You're just adding 2 each time, and then it was 2n plus 1 was that rule. Because you're adding 2, so you say that times n, right? 2 times n. And then if you look at the first one, 2 times 1 is 2, and then what must you still add to get 3? A 1. Okay, so that's where that rule comes from, 2n plus 1. Now guys, in this case, we can just do the normal rule because the shape number is going up by 1 every time. Okay, the one that we did just before this, the shape number, technically the number of units was going up by 50. Okay, that's why we couldn't use that constant differently. Are there any questions on any of those values? All right, I'm quickly going to show you my graph. Right, so the street was all the way up until 8. This is 2 up every time. And then for the 10th one, you have to go all the way up to 21, which was that last line. Then we couldn't put the 20th one in, hey, because it was 41. And we don't have 41 on that axis thing. Okay, any questions? All right, grade 8, we're going back to surface area and volume now. So I would like you to please go back in your books to that section. And we're basically just going to practice some more because I don't think you guys practiced enough when we were doing the section. We have to move on to the next one. So this was the last note that we wrote, surface area of 3-dimensional shapes. We wrote the formula for the total surface area of a cube, total surface area of a rectangular prism. We then spoke about a triangular prism. Remember, guys, where you have to take the areas of the 2 triangles, and then you must figure out how you're going to find the areas of the rectangles connecting them. All right, so you must find those measurements, those dimensions there. And then the last one was the cylinder, and guys, this one was the one with a fixed formula. Okay, remember when I cut open the toilet roll and I rolled it open and it gave us a rectangle? That's what we looked at there. All right, so the total surface area, I'm just going to go through this again quickly. The circle at the top and the circle at the bottom. Thank you. Do we remember how to find the area of a circle? Pi r squared. So because there's one at the top and one at the bottom, there are 2 of them. So that's where that first term comes from. 2 pi r squared. That is the area of the circle at the top and the circle at the bottom. Right? Plus, remember this second term was the area of the tube part, which when we cut that open, it folded out to become a rectangle. So instead of length, we have the circumference of the circle. Do you guys remember? It's actually still here. Right, the length of this rectangle was the same as the circumference of the circle. Okay, so that is why the length is 2 pi radius, guys. That's the formula for the circumference of a circle. I'll do it now, Will. And then the base, oh sorry, not the base, the breadth of this rectangle was the height of the tube, right? The height of the actual toilet roll, the cylinder. So instead of a B, we need to write H in the formula. Yes.
What's number with the radius? You say radius of two circles.
Yes. Yeah, you use the radius of the circles, yes. Okay, the ones that we had actually practiced in class, we did this one. Just check that you all have this, exercise 17.1. So this was a triangular prism and a rectangular prism, right? And we had these two answers. Then we started working on that worksheet. So we marked the first question, which was all on area. And then there was more complicated area questions, right? Where, for example, here was the area of the triangle minus the area of the circle when they're asking for the shaded area, and so on. All right, so that's what we did there. And then, guys, we never actually got to the surface area and volume questions. Some of you might have gotten to it in class, but we didn't discuss it, we didn't mark it. So this is the worksheet that I'm talking about, guys. Just check if you can find that. It said measurement worksheet. We marked the area section and the more complicated example section. We have not marked the total surface area and volume section. But I know you guys were working on it in the class. I remember you asking me questions about it. And then the last section, I think this might have been on the back. I can't remember if I printed it double-sided. This was more complicated examples with, they were asking for the volume only here. The volume of these shapes. All right, so this was this kind of a rectangular prism with another one added on top, right? This is a cylinder with a smaller cylinder taken out. And then this was I think we said this is a rectangular prism minus a cylinder. Guys, do we remember how to find the volume of any shape? There's a formula that you use for all of them. You remember? So that one works for the rectangular prism. You're almost there. Okay, you want to try for the volume. Formula that works for all of them. Volume, volume, volume. Let's see, where was our note on volume? There we go. I'm talking about this. Volume of any shape is the area of the base times the height. That's what I'm talking about. So when it is a cube, you take the area of the base, which is side squared, times the height, which is another side. Right? There, we wrote that in the note. For a rectangular prism, what is the base of a rectangular prism? A rectangle. That's why it's called a rectangular prism, right? So rectangle, length times breadth, times height. Does this ring a bell? Kind of. For a triangular prism, remember guys, this is where we have that whole conversation where even if it's not drawn that it's standing on a triangle, the base of a triangular prism is always a triangle. Do we remember that? That's why I highlighted it. So it's always going to be the area of the triangle times the distance between the two triangles. That's the height of the prism. All right, is that ringing a bell if you had that conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
And then for the cylinder, the base of a cylinder, again, even if it's drawn that it's standing like this, hey? They can give you a picture where it looks like this. The base is still the circle. Okay, even if it's not drawn like that. Sometimes they give you a picture where the cylinder is like on the tube. The base of a cylinder is always a circle. So the area of a circle, pi r squared, times the height, which is always this height of the tube, the length of the tube. Okay. So that is what I want you guys to work on now. Please, some of you might have started with those questions, all right? But what I was noticing when I was walking around and helping you is that many of you were just finding like the volume, not the surface area as well. You have to find both in this question, guys. For these 6, you must find the surface area of that cube and the volume of the cube. Same thing here, surface area of the cylinder and the volume of the cylinder. For this one, surface area and volume. All right, for all of them, yes. Yeah. Okay, guys, so you're going to work on that now. Like I said, you might have done some of it. You might have done all of it. That's fine. When you're done with these 6, you are carrying on with these 3 questions. You're finding the volumes of these 3 shapes. Yes. Yes. All right, guys, if you don't have a copy of that worksheet, it's on the board. Those questions. Grade 8 on Wednesday, I want you please to bring your answer series to class. Can you make a note of that, please? Answer series, answer series. Okay. On Wednesday. Yeah, I don't see you guys tomorrow, so Wednesday. Guys, what you're doing now is you're preparing for your test, actually, right? This is actually like you're studying now. That's what you're doing. This is not extra work. You're actually getting ready for your test. I only see you on Wednesday, and then Thursday you write your test. Okay, so please, you need to focus. Do these questions. I need those projects back, so if you can just have them, and I'm going to have to take it.